Ever wish a podcast would explain how to get better faster from the standpoint of longevity, biohacking, and personalized functional medicine? Co-hosts Dr. Jason Bradley and James Chester, along with executive producer Rachel Bradley, bring you the Get Better Faster podcast. Their mission is radically simple: to revolutionize health by connecting people with the experts, technologies, and protocols that mainstream medicine ignores. Because people deserve to get better faster.
All right. Hello, I am Dr. Jason Bradley, and along with my co-host, James Chester, we are excited to welcome you to another edition of the Get Better Faster podcast. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Laurent Goldstein, a visionary in the wellness space whose journey spans 4 decades and 2 continents. From his early days seeking natural health solutions in France to becoming a trusted consultant to over 3,000 doctors, Laurent has dedicated his life to advancing alternative health education and treatments. His award-winning documentaries on aging, chronic pain, and concussions have helped countless people discover paths to healing outside conventional medicine. And what makes Laurent particularly unique is his commitment to experiencing firsthand the therapies that he promotes, from cryotherapy to stem cell treatments, truly walking his talk. I call it the human crucible. As the creator of the groundbreaking Media Doc software and founder of your Second 50 community, he's helped bridge the gap between cutting-edge wellness practices and everyday people seeking better health. Laurent, we are honored to have you share your insights with our listeners today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Bradley. And yes, my journey spans 4 decades. I was 10 years old. So just to clarify.
That's great.
Anyway, so I love what you're doing. We met, I think, at the Parker seminar, and we all, the 3 of us, I think, share a passion for chiropractic and the broader scope, I guess, for health and wellness and longevity. So it's a pleasure to be with you, and I really appreciate. I'm honored that you're giving me that space to talk a little bit about what I'm doing right now. So thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, and to just round everything up, I'm so grateful to break digital bread with you and to have you on as a guest for our new podcast, Get Better Faster. And I know you're going to have a lot of insight today on that one tip of the iceberg question: what can people do to get better faster? So as we talk to you about your life and your career, always keep that top of mind and circle back to that as to what people can do to get better faster, specifically in your second 50 years of life, because I know that's a cornerstone and a benchmark for the work that you're producing right now and what it looks like for all of us to move into the future. And, you know, I always go back to Gary Vaynerchuk. He goes and says that we're never too late to get started. And, you know, that Parker seminar that we were at, the man who started that whole thing, he was 65 years of age when he created that Parker University. Like, he started Parker Chiropractic College at 65 years age. So anybody listening to this, give yourself some hope and some runway to know that you can get started today too, just like the conversation we're going to have with Laurent today.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm excited too, Laurent, because I started a project a while ago that has flopped a number of times, but it's called originally I started this in my 40s, and it was called Fit by 50. And I had this whole idea of like, I was going to get myself fit by 50, and basically I want to explore what you're doing. But long story short, I didn't really write it. I started it a couple times. I didn't really get it. And as I approached 50, and now that I'm in my second 50 life, which I can't wait to dive in with you, and I crossed that bridge a couple of years ago. Now I want to work on that project called Fit by 50 and beyond, because I've crossed that bridge. But your second 50 life, Laurent, tell us about it. Tell us the inspiration. Your second50life.com coming soon. That community. Tell us your inspiration to start this. Like, tell us what led to this.
Well, I've always, first of all, I'd like to go back maybe to what James was saying, talking about Dr. Parker, who started the school at 65. My journey is, interesting as well, in the sense that When I grew up in France, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be a film director, like going back to being 10, 11, 12 years old. I mean, I was sneaking into movie theater for PG-13 movies that I had read. I was getting all my film magazines and, cinema reviews and film reviews. I was always reading this and always excited about the films from the famous filmmakers from Italy, the Fellini, the Visconti, the Pasolinis, and from Sweden and from France. And so, very, very early on, I wanted to be a film director. And that was my passion. It was my drive. I was driven by it. And then I came to Canada for business. It was a business matter. I was 29 years old and I became, I lived the life of an entrepreneur for 3 decades almost, starting businesses, always traveling. And one of these businesses was a chiropractic, my company Biohacker in that space of chiropractic patient education software program. But what happened? So I gave up in a way on my dream. It's not even that I gave up on it. I forgot it, and it didn't really pay attention to it anymore. But what it took for my business to collapse during the recession of 2000, 2010, 2009, 2010, I started my video production company. And I was in my 50s then. And after about 4 years of producing videos, and that's going to answer the beginning of your question, Jason. After 4 years of producing videos, one day I met a guy by the name of Frank Moffat at an RV dealership in a small town in Alberta, Canada. Why an RV dealership? Because the owner of that RV dealership was actually a client of mine. I had produced videos for him, and I was there to film a video with my team. And Mike Scorsese, the owner of the dealership, says, Laurent, I'd like you to meet my friend Frank. He's in the dealership right now. He's helping me with some marketing stuff. I'd like you to meet him because I think you two guys are going to get along. Why he had that feeling, I don't know. So he called his friend Frank to come upstairs in the boardroom and meet with me. And Frank told me he just finished his book called Your Second 50. And he said, it's ironic that you're meeting me today because I was just thinking it'd be really cool if I could actually get a documentary done from the book. So right away, my God, we have that connection. I've always been fascinated. You asked me the question about, why your second 50. I've always been fascinated with the concept of time because I think when you really think about it, and most people don't want to think about it because it's uncomfortable and potentially scary. Our time on this planet is limited. It's actually very limited. And the longer we live at a chronological level, the faster it seems to get. Mm-hmm. So it's a fascinating concept. It's a core question that as human beings, we should be pondering, what can we do to maximize that time on this planet since it is really limited? So I met Frank. We started talking, he told me about the film. We agreed to go for dinner that day. We went to a restaurant called the Cactus Club by the Calgary airport. And we had each a napkin. We were waiting for our food. The discussion was very animated. And he started writing some names on a napkin. And I started writing some names on the napkin, names like John DeMartini, Bruce Lipton, Donny Epstein. I could go on and on. Eric Plasker, Fabrizio Mancini, and so on. And turns out we really complemented each other because the people he knew were more in the music industry and also some in the self-help industry. And his kids are very famous musicians. The band is called the Moffats. They are very famous, in particular in Asia. In Thailand is an area where they tour all the time. So we started writing these names, and we basically, over dinner, we decided to do the film. You know, and in most cases, people have grand ideas like that, and usually it never goes anywhere. And basically what I realized over the years, it's not enough to talk about things. It's more important to get it done. So I'm somebody who is more action oriented. I'm a doer. I like to get things done. And I don't think about the consequences often. I just jump in the pool without thinking about the consequences. That's exactly what happened with Frank. And well, sure enough, I mean, the following week, we were raising our seed money, the first 50K to do the film. And then we kept raising more money and we started filming right away. Took us about 2.5 years. And that was your second 50, rising above the fears of aging, that we shot over 2.5 years, 6 different countries. And we had big stars in the film, including people like Naomi Judd, who we filmed at our home in Nashville. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. And some other amazing people. Dr. Bruce Lipton was the core or the spine of the film. He was really the key component because he was able to validate at a biological and cellular level what the other people were speaking about in the film. He was actually bringing the proof, the scientific proof behind, like, age as a state of mind and all of that. Well, it's fine to say that, but it's better if you can actually back it up at the cellular biological level. So that was the genesis of, and you know, at the time I was 55 years old. So it took me from being 20 years old and doing a film school in Paris for 1 year to be assistant director and then dropping it completely. I started to shoot my first 30-minute film on a 16mm camera, and then I could not raise enough money. I had a great lead actor that was committed to the project. I could not raise the money, and I gave up on it. And then it went full circle until I was 35 years later to actually do my first film. And I have done, I'm in the middle of the 6th feature-length documentary now. So it's been a journey. And, you know, the lesson there, it's never too late. I really can, I'm actually living that. It's never too late. I can talk about it. It's true. It's really true.
Well, I think that, you know, you're not only living that, but you're also living proof that, you know, the different modalities that you've investigated, that you've filmed,
Yes.
you've applied those to your own life. And I mean,
Yes.
I'm just talking to you through the screen here, but, and of course we met each other. I don't know your exact age, but I know you're more vibrant than most 30-year-olds that I know.
Thank you.
You know, so I mean, whatever you're doing, I mean, it's working out. And speaking of what you're doing,
Yes.
walk us through like a typical day of Laurent, biohacking himself or working with longevity. What does that look like for you?
So a typical day for me, I put a great deal of emphasis, of course, on nutrition. I'm a big fan of supplements. I take a ton of supplements. So typically I would get up in the morning around 7 a.m. The breakfast time is very important for me. It's almost, so I do some stretching exercises first, get the blood glowing. And by the way, my chronological age is 70. So I'm 70 chronologically. I just competed all weekend in a table tennis tournament, very intense competition. Of course, I could not sleep last night because of the competition. I was really revved up. And then I had so much to do today because I'm leaving for a major trip in the US again tomorrow that I could not, my mind was racing. Anyway, so I didn't really sleep much at all. But I start my day with some stretching exercises. Then breakfast is almost like a religious experience for me. It's a time when you really can't talk. You don't want to talk to me when I'm having breakfast. I'm really in my own space. For breakfast, I like to do, I like matcha tea. So I do a really good, matcha latte with a very pure plant-based milk. Usually hazelnut and water. That's it. No other ingredients. And then I, recently for the last few months, I've been, eating chia seeds. So I prepare it the night before. I mix chia seeds with again, a very nice, plant-based milk. And then I eat that in the morning with fresh berries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. So I make a mix of berries, some lime on it. And then I eat, a very low sugar, even no sugar granola, very high-end granola, that I buy in Los Angeles at, the Earworm store. They make the best one. I've tried so many granolas, but it's a paleo kind of granola, and it's just amazing. So this is my breakfast time. And then I would say, then it's work. I mean, I try to be as active as I can during my day. So if I see an opportunity to walk upstairs instead of, let's say, taking the elevator, I always go for it. And I always walk fast. I try to walk fast. I pay attention to my posture. I try to squeeze, a red light therapy treatment, like I'm having one today at 2:30. Of course, I make sure I get adjusted. Now, I get adjusted with Nuka, so I don't have to go on like once a week or twice a week. It's a bit different with Nuka, but we could talk about that too. It's very interesting. My journey with Nuka. There's a lot I could share about that. I practice table tennis pretty much every day. So I go to the local club and I train, and I credit that sport for my fitness level. No question about that. And my brain fitness as well. There's no doubt that table tennis is, according to Dr. Daniel Amen, who is also one of my cast members, the famous psychiatrist, Daniel Amen, he actually says that the best sport in your second 50 and later is table tennis, because it activates an area in the brain that is absolutely essential as we age. And also the eye-hand coordination and the overall cardiac fitness, all of that, the combination of all the factors make it superb for longevity. So this is kind of a typical day. So I don't do hyperbaric chamber every day. I don't do cold plunge every day. I don't do IV therapy, of course, every day. But I depending on where I'm traveling, when I have opportunities to jump into these modalities, I do it. But it's not kind of a daily thing, per se.
Yeah. Can I jump in and ask you a couple things? Yeah, I love the idea that you're sharing so much enthusiasm at your chronological age, as you say, of 70, because I think some people pack it in and they think that they're an old man or an old woman when they hit, their middle age, which they consider 40s to 50s. And it's just really cool to see that you have so much vitality in your life. But I was just having a conversation this past weekend with a young gal that was helping me do some chiropractic marketing. And she asked me what my edge was. How did I consistently have a good attitude about life? And I said, you have to do this every day. It's yes. It's a daily titration of effort. You have to consistently put the element of life into life every day. And you have to live with a code. And I love how you say that breakfast is a religious experience for you, and that you can pull yourself away from the life that connects you to people, but you have to first connect to yourself. And how you're telling me about sourcing good product for yourself, I think everybody should get their pen and paper out and go back and listen to Laurent's breakfast regimen. Yes. and think about how mindful we should be with the selection process of how we feed ourselves, and the ideas around how we give ourselves the nutrients that our body needs. And that's so important to people to have that energy source. Back to another instance, there was this Uber driver I was talking about on our first episode. He drinks 2 sodas in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 at dinner. And I told him what sugar looked like under a microscope and what it would do to his body long term. And he asked me what he should do. And I said, you should eat real food. And you know what he said back to me? How can I afford that? I go, how can you afford not to? I go, the product that you put into your body on a daily basis is what gives you vitality and energy. I go, if you continuously put this high fructose corn syrup into your body that's GMO laden, as like eventually it's going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to kill you from inside out. And anyways, the guy was 40 and he shuffled around, and I love the guy dearly. I taught him so many life lessons, but he's shuffling around in a pair of sandals, like he's like 70 years old. Not you're 70, but like a typical 70. So rounding out this segment with you, you mentioned red light therapy, which I know is photobiomodulation, which is a big fancy word for red light energy into the cells. Could you explain to me how that affects your body and how frequently you dose yourself with red light?
So I have done altogether, I've had about 150 sessions in red light therapy beds over a period of, 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I don't know exactly.
It's like a religious experience.
Well, it is I believe that inflammation we all suffer from some kind of inflammation state in our body, and we need to stay on top of it because as much as possible, because inflammation is the cause of most diseases. So in order to stay on top of that inflammation process in the body that accelerates as we age, I think red light therapy in a powerful full body chamber is the easiest, in a way, passive and, easy way to get that under control. So how do I feel when I go into photobiomodulation bed? I mean, it's hard to gauge for me because I have a good baseline already. So when people tell me, well, how does that supplement help you? I don't know, because I already take, and that's one thing I didn't really emphasize, but with my breakfast, I take probably a dozen, maybe 12, 15 supplements with that. And then I do that again at lunch and I do that again at dinner. I like to have the 3 meals a day. That's how I grew up, in France. We have that tradition of eating, these 3 meals a day, and it kind of works for me. It works with my metabolism. So red light therapy, I know, is fantastic. I would say a good red light therapy chamber has broader benefits than any other modalities available out there. Mm. I mean, hyperbaric chambers, awesome. Cold plunge, cryotherapy, wonderful. I could go on and on, but they each have a more narrow kind of range of benefits. In the case of hyperbaric oxygen is amazing. It does so many benefits for the body, but it can also come with some side effects. And you don't hop into a hard shell hyperbaric chamber the same way you'd be hopping into a photobiomodulation chamber. So that's why my go-to treatment is really the red light therapy. To summarize, if you want.
Thank you for sharing all of that too. And I have so many questions about photobiomodulation and red light therapies, all of that. But I want to go back just a little bit and kind of dovetail into what we're talking about, to how James and I met you, coincidentally, in Las Vegas a few months ago. You were standing, very animated, very excited, but next to, I think, a company called the Arc, or a product called the Arc Bed, AIAR.
Yes.
I might be saying it wrong, but
no.
Long story short, I don't want to like over promote the thing, but I was blown away by it because I started talking with you and some other people there, and I might be debasing this into something that it's not, but I remember saying, oh my God, this sounds like a med bed. I kept hearing about med beds and that they're not real. But that maybe they do exist and they can help you, heal from X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And I remember standing there and the gentleman saying, no, this is a med bed. That's what you've been hearing about. This is it. We just got back from the Department of Defense. And anyway, I got fascinated with this Arc Bed and red light therapy. Laurent, we don't have to specifically talk about that bed, but we can, but I'd love to hear, it's not just red light. There's so much that we can
Okay,
do.
I can do it in less than a minute. This is only the second time that I promote a product to my network of doctors, chiropractors, naturopaths, and so on. The first time was about 18, 20 years ago when I fell in love with the DRX 9000 spinal decompression unit. It saved my back. It allowed me to keep playing table tennis when I was told by the experts, including Dr. Terry Yoakum, that I will never be able to play table tennis again. So I proved him wrong, and I proved everybody thanks to the DRX. So I introduced the DRX to a few clinics, and they've been very successful with it. I mean, you move forward 20 years later, I've had fantastic experience with 150 sessions in these photobiomodulation beds, and I decided that I should really look further into which one is the best. So I identified, I think, 6 companies. I reached out. I was able to get on Zoom meetings with most of the owners of these companies. The last one was the owner of ARC, and we connected right away because I found somebody who was not really motivated as much by making money, but had a great vision. His vision, he told me, my purpose is sick person in, healthy person out. And he was honest. He says, Laurent, I am not there quite yet, but this is my 7th generation bed. I'm getting really close to it. So I saw somebody who had a vision greater than just like starting a business or having a business to make money. I saw somebody who was passionate. I, decided to next week to go to California and meet with him. I met a couple of other, red light therapy technology owners at the same time, but I settled with ARC because there is no question that it is the best product on the market by far. There are great machines out there. Don't get me wrong. They all work. They all provide benefits. ARC is a different animal. It's in a class on its own.
That's what it seemed like.
It was just very interesting, Dr. Jason, because after you had experienced it and you met Laurent, you ran up to me like a young kid and you're like, I need to introduce you to this guy. You did everything you could to usher me through all the long aisles and to place me right there. And I got a chance to meet Laurent and tested this red light therapy. And I'll tell you, I've heard a lot of, real miracle breakthroughs with people doing red light consistently. And whether it's people are trying to, like Laurent said, help with their inflammation cycles and limit them, possibly help people hold chiropractic adjustments better, just the body's healing on a cellular level. A lot of times I've heard people with eye conditions starting to improve with the red light therapy.
Yes.
And there's a lot of downstream effect that I feel like people are benefiting from. So when you and Rachel were over there and met Laurent and then found and came and got me and brought me back, I was number one, really impressed with the tech. And when I got a chance to demo it, I think everybody should try it. I think everybody should try it. And I think everybody in the future, Laurent, they should all be telling Dr. Jason and I that they've done 150 red light, because I do think that you're so spot on. If you started drinking purified clean water, you would know that there's a difference in your metabolism and your health, but you've been doing it so long that you can't really put your finger on how it makes you feel anymore because you practice the healthy habits so consistently. And I think that that's my takeaway from you sharing that with me is when you practice a healthy habit consistently, like your NUCA adjustments hold now. Like,
well, I hope so. I had to cancel my NUCA adjustment today because my car is in the shop and my NUCA chiropractor is an hour away and I have no way of going there. So I hope I'm holding. I just wanted to be checked before my 1 month trip again. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think that's so interesting too. Coming back to just a couple of things with the red light too. We mentioned, decrease in inflammation. Certainly there's studies that are out there looking at everything, brainwave activities, immune system function, et cetera. Something that I'm fascinated with, photobiomodulation, red light, is the increase in energy production by mitochondria. There's a lot of evidence. So, I mean, who doesn't have, I meet with, lots of people, and ask them, hey, what's going on? And honestly, I think 100% of people are like, I'm tired. I don't have any energy. I mean, once in a blue moon, we get somebody that's like, I have too much energy, but everybody's tired. I mean, it's America. We're all overworked, underpaid, overstressed, overtaxed. I mean, all this crap. I don't know what it's like in Canada exactly, but everybody's tired. And what I love about the red light is that it stimulates the mitochondria. For those of you that are watching that might not know, mitochondria are what we call the powerhouses, the fuel cell, the fuel sources in the cell. That's when we say I have energy, we're talking about a chemical called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, that's made by mitochondria. And red light therapy increases ATP, or energy production. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because there's another hot button in the news these days, for better or worse. And we don't need to talk about it, but methylene blue, keeps coming up for various reasons. And, people are like, methylene blue and it increases ATP and this and that. But the problem with methylene blue, and again, this is a whole topic in and of itself, is that it can cause serotonin syndromes and other imbalances with neurotransmitters. Whereas red light therapy, we don't have any of that problem. We get an even better effect than methylene blue with no side effects except feeling better, which is awesome.
I wanted to get back to what you said earlier about Get Better Faster podcast. The title, I love that title. It's to the point. You're actually giving people the outcome, get better faster. That's the outcomes. If you come to your space, it's wonderful. I think, it starts with, what does it mean for you? Get better. I think because get better could mean something different for different people. So I think the reflection, it should start there, especially when we are over 50, because again, we don't have the luxury of time. When I was in my 20s or 30s, even 40s, I thought I would live forever. You don't think about, how life is finite in a way. So when we are over 50, we start to reflect more, maybe on the things we wanted to do that we haven't done. The sad thing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so motivated and passionate about doing the new film again. Your Second 50, Listen to the Lion. I changed the title of the film. I nailed it, with Listen to the Lion. I think I was calling it Live Inspired, and I was never animated by that tagline, or that it's kind of the title. Your Second 50 is a brand. Listen to the Lion is really motivating me much more. So, but a lot of people, that's what makes me kind of motivated me again to do it. They always wanted to, I don't know, do something, fly airplanes, become a doctor, whatever it is, go on a major hike somewhere, climb a mountain, whatever it is, but they gave it up. They gave it up. Usually because they were told by their friends, by their doctors, by society at large, you're too old, like, you're dreaming, like you're never going to be able to do it. We need to understand the psychology of that. If you go to your friends and you tell them you want to do something extraordinary, they often will actually bring you down. Why? Because they themselves are frustrated with their life. Sometimes they haven't done what they really wanted to do. So they project that to you. They don't want you to be vibrant and succeed and do all the amazing things and then look at themselves like a loser. So that's part of the problem, I think. And I'm here to tell people with the film, it's never too late. You can get better, whatever that means. Define what it means first, and then set up a plan of action from that starting point in order to get faster there. That's kind of my philosophy. And when I turned 70, Jason, you were saying earlier that, I appear to be vibrant and animated for a 70-year-old. I mean, turning 70 sucked for me. Let's be realistic. I want to be honest. It really bothered me. When I was turning 70, I really did. Now that I'm over it in a way, it was a couple of months ago. That's fine. I just, what I'm doing more now, I have more awareness on the physical body and working harder to keep my physical body strong. Because again, one of my big motivation is my sport, and I want to keep playing it and competing at a high level as long as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the big take homes that I've gotten from our conversation, I love the idea of get better faster and define it. I was raised in an engineering household. So, we always start with, what's the outcome what's the problem? What's the outcome that we want? And then reverse engineer it. Okay, here's where we are. Here's what we want. What do we have to do to get there, step by step? So I love your approach. And that approach is probably going to be different for each person, depending on where they are in life, their age, their circumstance, their health condition. I mean, I know that there are people the lucky few, that are healthy and don't really have symptoms, and they're a good body weight and they have good mentation and the whole thing. But even those people, as we know, are probably doing lots of things to maintain that. And as we age, as you mentioned, just to kind of riff on that, we have to put more and more effort in to maintain the same level. I was talking to a friend of mine once, he was a decade older than me. And so when I turned 30, he was turning 40. And he said very casually, man, when I turned 40, since I turned 40, I have to work twice as hard as when I was 30 to maintain whatever. So, okay, I thought about it, and a decade goes by. He's turning 50, I'm turning 40. And he said, man, now that I'm 50, I got to work twice as hard as 40. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't like the way this math is going because it's just getting harder and harder. But
it doesn't have to be that way either. I mean, I think there are simple things you can implement every day that do not necessarily require hard work. They require more, I would say, a discipline more than hard work, and some kind of, you have to be driven, because you have to be driven. You have to have a bigger goal. Otherwise, you're not going to keep. That's why people do New Year's resolution. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David, there's an episode where he said, I never do New Year's resolution. Never. I've never done it. This year, for the first time, I did a New Year's resolution. So his friends say, so what is it? What is your pee before you go? That was his New Year's. Pee before you go. When you're in your 60s and 70s, you'll understand what that means.
Oh man, I hear you right now. There are times we're leaving and I'm like, I don't really have to go, but I'm just going to go to see what happens. I mean,
if you're stuck in traffic, as an example. But anyway, but a lot of people who do New Year's resolution, then they don't follow through because they do it, but you have to have that bigger goal, that bigger thing that drives you. And that goes back to, reflecting on what the get better means to you as a person. What does it mean? Look at your life, where you're at today, and what does it mean to get better,
Well, there's some scripted stuff I want to go down the pathway with you today, Laurent, because I know that we don't have a lot of time with you.
No,
I am very curious to ask some very direct questions. But what you guys were explaining there is what Rachel put on the screen there. What I hear is hope. You exude it. Pee before you go.
Before you go, yes. So that's the takeaway of the talk, maybe.
So far. But what you were explaining there was subjective, and everybody has subjective standard of where they are today. And in chiropractic, that's why I love running the show with Dr. Jason, because he's a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So I can always lean on him for his expertise. But something that he's had to do from day one is a SOAP note on every patient that's come through for care. And it's subjective, it's objective, it's assessment and plan. So if you think about the consistency and the motivators that get you going every day, you're living the SOAP note life. Like you're living the plan. You're living the assessment of how you assess yourself. You live the objective of what you want to achieve. And Jason's talking about living in an engineer household. What do you do if you want to get to an outcome? Well, you reverse engineer it. And what is subjective? How do you show up on that day? So I think it's very clear and very linear for people to start to get a snapshot of how you get to 70 in good health is you have to live the SOAP note lifestyle. And it came clear to me when you were explaining that when Jason was talking about reverse engineering this, but I wanted to go a little bit different path with you based on your filmmaking, because I'm sure that you've come and seen some really entrenched things And maybe you can shine a light on some of the things that you've seen through your career of filmmaking in the natural health world, that you've seen people's life shifting and changing because of the work that you're involved in.
Thank you. That's a very important question. And I think, when I did a film called On a Scale of 1 to 10, which was what motivated me was to help people who suffer from chronic pain. And why? Because of my career in chiropractic, interviewing and meeting so many patients and seeing so many doctors who even became a chiropractor themselves because they had an incredible positive experience after seeing a chiropractor, sometimes with issues that could not resolve anywhere else. So I've seen that again and again and again. And then shooting videos for chiropractic clinics and interviewing patients that would come as testimonials and capturing their stories, sometimes having tears, coming up because their stories were so emotional. They would be tearing up. I would be tearing up. Then we would hug each other. That I've seen that so many times that I thought, my God, everybody need to know that. They need to know that if you're stuck in a place where you think there is no hope and you're stuck in a place of chronic pain, there is hope. You just haven't found the solution yet, but the solution is usually out there. So I wanted to share that story. And so to come back to your question, James, the question was, I think, what are some of the things that I've seen where people are really entrenched? Or what I realize is that when it comes to chronic pain or disease in general, usually there is some kind of trauma in the past that has not resolved. And this trauma has to find a way to express itself. And it often will express itself through chronic pain or chronic disease or chronic dis-ease, not being at ease in your body. And chiropractors play a huge role in helping people with their nervous system, with the balance and function and all of that. I like it when there is also a counselor or a therapist in a clinic, because then you can address the mental and emotional component, as well as the physical and neurological components. And to me, that is the key. That emotional and mental component. There's so many people I saw who said that they want to get rid of pain. They are in the chiropractic office because they want to get rid of their pain. But subconsciously, and Bruce Lipton explains that very well, they don't want to get rid of that pain because that pain serves the purpose. So we need to go there as well. And I think I'm all for a very integrative approach to life and health and wellness, where you're looking at it from these different angles. I don't know if that answers your question, James, but it's...
Oh, it does. And it kind of gets me to that linchpin idea, to kick it back to you, a more broad stroke question of, have you ever met anybody on more drugs or pharmaceuticals that had more vitality and a better quality of life?
No, I mean, like when people ask me what medication I'm under, and I say none. Well, I take some ivermectin, but that's it. And 4.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very serious life-threatening disease on top of it. It's a blood disorder. It's very serious. So it also gave me a new insight on life after 50. And it made me question, well, can you have a really scary diagnosis? You get that label on you, but can you also be very healthy at the same time? That's apparently a contradiction, but I believe it's possible. So I'm all about shifting people's paradigms. That's when changes happen. And this is why, I love your title, Get Better Faster, because you need to get people to think about what does it mean for you, So, no, to answer your question, James, obviously the solution and to vitality and health is not in pills and drugs and pills. Surgery only last resort. I mean, so many of my friends, especially in the table tennis world, my age, oh, they are all proud that they have new knees or a new knee, or I'm getting a new knee in 2 weeks, new hips and everything. I still have all my original knees and hips and parts, and I don't plan to change them and replace them. You just need to keep them going well, and it's not that hard, really.
I love the idea of shifting paradigms, and that's where change happens. And it's what you were saying. I mean, just like what Rachel mentioned in the comments, and what you're saying, there are solutions that are out there. I mean, there really are. But the reality is, and I mean this from love, and I'm just going to kind of echo what you said. I always tell, when I'm talking, that people are not going to find the solutions that they need within a system that's allowed them to stay so sick for so long. I mean this out of love, but people are always like, oh, I've got this new doctor and my insurance and this and that. And I'm like, they're not going to pay for anything to get you healthy. They're going to pay for a procedure or a drug. That's it. And people think, and I mean this out of love for most people. I mean, there's this idea of this Marcus Welby MD or whoever it's going to be that's going to like be the family doctor and figure stuff out and go the length. And that's just not the way it works. I mean, doctors aren't even trained to do that anymore. We have to seek solutions outside of the system. So I love that you're documenting this and putting this out in film and helping get exposure to people that might not otherwise get exposure and thoughts and ideas, getting out to the public. I love that.
Thank you. And one thing to add to that is, yes, you're right. People think that, oh my, I've got that new doctor. My doctor is great. And I saw that with my dad, for example. He gave so much trust to his doctor. The problem is you come to realize very quickly that in fact, the power that doctors have on making you better is actually very limited. The power is in you. Yes. You should be the director of your own health. You should be the director, the producer, the director, the scriptwriter, and you should have a team that you assemble around you that include first and foremost chiropractor, then for me also naturopath, a functional medicine doctor, and some other components, a really good RMT, some other components you put in there. You're in charge of that team. The problem is today, the system makes us victims. They maintain us in a state of victimhood. They don't want us to be empowered. We need to change that. We need to reclaim our power. This is our body. This is our life. I want to be the director and the controller and the producer of my team and come up with a plan working together, but you're in charge. And so I think we need to remind that to people. And that's one of the things that I love about chiropractic as well, is that it allows that space, that energy to come in. It empowers people. All it does is remove interference in your body so that you can perform better. If you can perform better, you can face challenges in a much better way.
I know James wants to jump in here, but I just want to say, if you think about it from, stepping back from a societal point of view, of course we want a healthy, vibrant population. Of course we do, but when you're in control of that healthy, vibrant population, a healthy, vibrant, free-thinking population is a whole lot harder to control than a slightly sick, chronically ill, dependent on drugs in a system that's not going to get them healthy, but they have to keep their crappy job because it comes with insurance. And if they lose their job, they can't go to their doctor that's going to prescribe their 14 drug. I mean, it's a really, I mean this double entendre. It's a sick system that we've created. I mean, it's at my soul level, it's disgusting to me. But anyway,
it's a sick system.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump in and just say that is the canary in the coal mine approach, and nobody evacuates the mine until the canary dies. And that's when they know it's unsafe. So really, our health industry is a functioning canary in the coal mine system. Is people will like, I grew up in a household, I'll just be like True Grit for a minute. I grew up in a household that we didn't go to the doctor unless we were dying. Like, I live in a whole different paradigm today in my 40s and in my 30s that like I actually do wellness modalities. Like Laurent was saying, I do a lot of the things he was mentioning about biohacking and longevity lifestyle stuff. But I no longer will be the victim of being the canary in the coal mine for my symptomatology to let me be the old mindset that I grew up in to tell me that I'm only going to go see a practitioner if I'm dying. Now I focus on my, mental health. I focus on my physical conditioning. I focus on what I eat, what I think, and how I move. Like Laurent's talking about his table tennis lifestyle. Like, I believe we all have to find that motion in our life that gives us that involvement to build that community around us, because those are the things that will get you better faster, is not being alone, number one, and finding things that give you fulfillment and enrichment. And if you're going to spend it now, you should spend it on your health instead of on your death, because I tell people all the time, you were born with nothing and you'll leave with nothing. And you should spend it staying as healthy as you can every day from this point going forward.
I can add something to that. Amen. I can add something. We should not take life too seriously because we won't get out of it alive.
Jim Morrison.
Right. Well, and I think it's interesting, Laurent, going back to what you said earlier and kind of in this, and I'm not sure where this percolates from, but we were talking about being in pain, and you said, hey, if I wanted to choose one thing, I'd love to help people get out of pain. Man, being in my, old days with chiropractic and physical medicine and sports medicine and all that kind of stuff, I get it. I've seen people in excruciating pain. I've been in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
I'm hearkened back, but you said get all the chiropractic and modalities, but if we don't address that psychological aspect of it, we're probably not going to see that true healing. And it's interesting because a couple of things. Number one, John Sarno, way back in the day, wrote a book about back pain. I don't even know what it's called. But he was a medical doctor, and he basically said, hey, if we're talking about back pain, which affects 80% of adult Americans at least once a year, if we work on the psychology behind it, people's back pain can go away. And I thought that was a really interesting, thing to say. And then coming back specifically to what you said, you said you have to have a greater purpose. Like as we're uncovering this and working through the psychology behind all of it, we have to have a greater purpose, because otherwise we can get stuck in our identity, in this victim identity. Like, I'm suffering. I'm like, I don't like, and sometimes people will create this identity around themselves for decades. I mean, just decades. And it can also become scary then to think, because I've witnessed this with people. I'm like, okay, if we could get your pain taken care of, this excruciating pain that's ruined your life for 4 decades, if that was gone in 3 or 4 months, what would you do? Like, what would be different? And honestly, I get a deer in headlights look sometimes. Like, they don't have an identity past the pain. And I can say from my experience, when I ask that question, I can almost predict how successful they're going to be in whatever, program that they're going to go through for health. If they have an answer like, oh my God, when I feel better, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to do this with my kids and my grandkids and travel, and and then if they don't, it's a tough one.
Some people are just ready to die.
Oh, yeah.
Or they've already died inside of themselves. So a big part of themselves is dead. And it's not about putting guilt onto people at all. But what you said, Dr. Jason, is very powerful. The goal maybe should not be to get out of pain. The goal should be maybe to ask, well, what do you want in your life? Project yourself healthy. Yeah. What does that look like? Then the brain has something to work toward. Instead of a vacuum, get rid of pain for what? Replace it with what? So that's very important. This is why it all starts at a mental, emotional level. I think, from what I've learned, and again, some of the people I really admire, they confirm that. I mean, there's no question that even at a biological level, it's so important, the way we think.
You said it earlier, Laurent. Bruce Lipton, he gives legitimacy to this whole process, the biology of belief, epigenetics. And in between shows today, I found this little snippet and I sent it to Rachel and Jason, but it's called The 7 Dimensions of Medicine. And for me, if you took the word medicine out of everything, I'd be quite happy with it, just because I think that it's an overstimulated, overused construct that really doesn't mean anything to people unless they get a pharmaceutical drug. But this explained it a little bit differently to me. It said mechanistic medicine, fix the part. Functional medicine, find the cause. Holistic medicine, heal the whole. synergistic medicine, align the body, intuitive medicine, trust the body, energetic medicine, working with body, mind, spiritual medicine, honor the body, mind, and soul. So many of the things that we're talking about today that didn't have any type of equal value of a linear pathway, I found that today in this thing that takes and actually gives legitimacy to the word medicine when it comes to full body systems. And when we're talking about photobiomodulation, we're talking about longevity and giving yourself permission to get over illness and find purpose and cause for a better future. Like, everything is tied into these constructs. And I think that that's what your work has really done since you decided to become the filmmaker, is you've given people the snapshot of reality, showing them that there are different modalities that can help them with whatever thought, trauma, toxin, chemical, physical, and emotional stress that they're dealing with. There is a solution for them if they look deep enough.
Yes. And also to try to get people to reconnect with their source, the child within that had all these dreams, that then we lose because society tells us not realistic. And we need to stay connected to that, to always be in wonder and loving life. I mean, my parents loved life, and I learned a lot from that. They would open a bottle of champagne for any reason, a small thing to celebrate, bang, with a bottle of champagne, bring friends. Of the friends at the house were always 30 years or 40 years younger than my parents. They always had friends in their 20s, even when they were in their 70s or 80s. Because they had that passion for life. And so I think I got that somehow from them. And, I think we need to kind of reconnect to that first. And also that spiritual quest, somehow is important too, to stay connected to something greater, than just the physical. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Or could mean something different for you, James, and for you, Dr. Jason, for me. But I think that's something that is there too. So in the film, we look at the physical plane of life. That's how we start. Then we go into the mental and how the brain functions with Patrick Porter and so on. Then we go into the emotional, which is so like we live life through our emotions. We express life through how we emotionally react. And then I end on the spiritual plane. And then the last component is nature, because for me, nature and love are the two greatest healers. So the nature is throughout the film. I want people to not experience a film as a collection of talking heads. I've never done my films that way. I want music is very important, beautiful visuals. Nature is omnipresent in the film because that's the source. For me.
That's beautiful. And I think coming back to nature, I wrote a book in 2023 called The Epic 5 Plan, and it's about 5 pillars of health. And it's really just a return to the basics, looking at hydration, diet, movement, nervous system regulation, and sleep management. But I've got this idea, and those are the 5 pillars is what I call them. But I've got this idea of 6 pillars and 7 pillars. And some of those are community, purpose.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones are just what you were talking about, forest bathing or nature. I mean, I know for myself, and I don't want to speak for my wife, but I know that when we're struggling, it's sometimes helpful just to go out into the woods and go on a walk and just, talk to God, or talk to nature or whatever it is that trips your trigger there. Sure. And I think that there's so much there. The other thing I wanted to mention too, and this is back a little bit, coming back to table tennis, and a table tennis lifestyle. And how much that does, for your body. And you were talking about the integration of, the brain, the body, the all of it, the whole thing, right? And keeping everybody young and spry and all that. And I think pickleball can be part of that too. Yeah, but that said, it reminded me, and come back to what James said about the mind, body, spirit. It reminded me of a book I was reading that I can't remember the name of, but it was by Baron Baptiste, a yoga instructor many years ago. And in part of this book, he was talking about how he was really stuck spiritually and emotionally, just stuck. And he's this like yogi, and he's meditating, and he's doing like all this stuff, and he was just completely stuck. and he felt like a failure. And here he is teaching people how to not be stuck spiritually and emotionally. And, it's him. And he said, so he got really pissed actually at himself in the situation and just leaned into the yoga. And he's like, I'm just going to do yoga. And he got really physical with his yoga. And he said that when I let go of it and I just focused on the thing that I knew that I could do, I can take care of my structure, my body, I can do this and remove the stress from the other. He said everything broke through. He's like, that physical connection that he leaned into opened up spaces in his brain, opened up spaces in his spirit that he wasn't able to do because he wasn't moving there, moving with the intensity. So I love the idea of table tennis, like bridging that gap, like Jane was saying with the different types of medicine, but mind, body, spirit medicine, and taking something really simple like table tennis or pickleball and bridging that mind, body, spirit, emotion, gap. I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. And then, like you said, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Lipton, filling it all in with like, oh yeah, by the way, this is how it all works.
Exactly. Here you go. Yes.
And one of the things that I kind of want to round things up with is, have you ever heard of the concept of your week in life or your life in weeks?
No.
Well, they say
It's interesting.
They say that the average person will get 80 years out of their life. And
Is that?
Well, you get 52 a year times 80.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I'm not a mathlete by any stretch.
It's not a lot, really.
No, it's not.
But if you think about like how much we have to buy into ourselves every day for those 52 weeks a year, for that 80-year run, we want to do that in style and grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my question to you, Laurent, is how young should people start focusing on longevity and the biology of belief and practicing this style lifestyle?
It starts with awareness, and a desire to implement, to upgrade your life. If you have that desire to upgrade your life experience, the experience of life, then you should start at any time. Anytime you're aware of it, when you become aware of the fact that our existence on this planet is limited and we want to experience life at its full potential, it should not be, in my opinion, it should not be just for ourselves.
Oh yeah.
It's how can I contribute to others? Otherwise, what's the point? If you're just looking at, feeling better just for yourself, but you're not actually, how can I say, helping other people in your community and so on and so forth, it's a little bit defeating, I think. It's how can you contribute? In which way can you contribute? A sculpture, creating a beautiful sculpture, and that sculpture is going to be, somewhere in a village, in the middle of the village on the main plaza. And people every time walking by, they look at that sculpture and gives them some kind of aesthetic pleasure, some kind of emotion. That sculpture is contributing to an architect building beautiful buildings in the city, and people go to work and they work in a beautiful building. That, a musician creating a beautiful piece of music, but it could be somebody whose job is to clean the streets, wiping the streets. If you do it with a purpose to actually, again, enhance the experience that other people have, you can find satisfaction in that. So it starts there, in my opinion. Then after that, you have to have a physical body that allows you to be equipped to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So it starts on the physical plane, because like we experience life emotionally. If you go outside one day, you're on vacation with your wife, in a beautiful resort, you open the door, you step outside, it's 6 a.m, the sun is rising, the breeze hits your face, it smells good, flowers, you hear the birds singing, and you take it all in. You have an emotional response, like, wow. And you want to kiss your wife next to you because you want to share that experience together, right? But if your knee is in pain, or you get some kind of pain and aches and so on, that is going to interfere with that experience of the moment in life. that otherwise you would want to celebrate. So this is why we need to start on the physical, but then it's the other stuff that really matters. And I think we need to be very careful about the words that we use every day. I pay close attention to when somebody starts talking to me about their pain. My pain is in their condition. I've got this condition. Right away, I know that somehow that pain or that disease is serving a purpose for them because they acquire it. It's mine. What if it's yours? It's not going to leave you. So the words that we use have a lot of power.
It's very true. I've been aware of this without somebody actually saying that back to me. But I know when I hear, especially easiest, right, by the kids or whatever, if they say something that's absolute like that, I try to say, like, I don't even know. I've got a headache or I've got whatever it is. And I always try to say, well, you could say things like, I'm experiencing a migraine right now, or something like that. I mean, just change the language. Like it's just
distance, create a distance.
Yeah. And make it temporary, and I think if we start thinking about this, temporarily as opposed to this is who I am, it's just interesting. I want to go back to how early we should start. I want to bring back Bruce Lipton, Dr. Lipton again. When I was many years ago, 30 years ago, I think before Biology Belief came out, Bruce was talking at Palmer University and I was a student and I had crowded into a room where everybody else was. And he kind of laid out the biology belief and how it came to him was when he was at Stanford trying to write a lecture on cellular biology. It's a cool story. Yeah. And afterward, everybody wanted to go meet Dr. Lipton, right? So and I wanted to too. I mean, who wouldn't want to go say hi to him and meet him and all this? It's this guy that's breaking ground. Anyway, I had no chance. It was too crowded. So I left. I walked down the hill. I don't know if you're familiar with Davenport, but I walked down Brady Street.
Yes, sir.
I walked down Brady Street Hill to some coffee shop down the road. And, and I'm drinking my coffee and in walks Bruce Lipton all by himself. Like, not 15 minutes later. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just saw you up the street. Anyway, we ended up hanging out and chatting. Had a great, that's how I got to know him. I mean, wonderful guy, as we all know. And I asked him that same question, right? Like yes to all this, but like, when should we start? Like, I know we're aware of it, like right now, but in best case scenario. And he thought about it. And this is what he said. And I love his answer. He said preconception. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, if we all as adults started working on this ourselves even before the baby was ever conceived, and then we practiced this health and wellness through that pregnancy and gave a healthy birth and raised that baby, he's like, but I think it starts preconception. And I'm like, he's true. I mean, he's right. I mean, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. I mean, we just got to start and then hit it generationally.
I love that. It's beautiful. But at the same time, the reality is it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late. You can start in your 60s or 70s. It's never too late. It starts with a desire first, I think.
Well, I think too, like even talking about 60s and 70s, when we talk about the big things, the big things like the cancers and cardiovascular diseases and all that. I mean, I can speak first-handedly about myself, but also, countless patients where they've come in with, I've got diabetes and I fill in the blank, right? And I'm like, if you want to change your diet and do X, Y, and Z, you don't need to be I'm talking about non-insulin dependent type 2, right? But I say, if you don't want to be diabetic anymore, if you do X, Y, and Z, 3 weeks, 3 months from now, you won't be diabetic anymore. You won't need those medications. And they don't believe me, but then they do it and they get off of it. And the point that I'm making is it's never too late. I don't care if you've been struggling with, blood sugar imbalances for, 5 or 6 decades. It only takes a few weeks to shift your metabolism. It only takes a few months to shift your microbiome, and your hormones and your brain structure. I mean, it's all about, in my opinion, 25-year veteran of Frontlines here. I think we all said it earlier. It's about showing up. It's just about showing up, being consistent, doing the work every day, not, binging on it and doing it all in one day and then giving up, but like just consistently showing up and doing it across all aspects of your life. I love that.
Well, and I just wanted to quickly say something about chiropractic. I think that the kids who grow up in a chiropractic environment, chiropractic family, and start getting adjusted early on, it becomes part of their lifestyle. And I think when people go regularly to a chiropractor, it keeps them connected with what it means to actually live a healthy lifestyle, being aware of your posture, being aware of what you eat. the chiropractor they get it from these visits to their chiropractors. Usually when they go to their medical doctor, they get the opposite. They get like a sick kind of care environment, reliance on drugs and all of that. So I think the lifestyle of chiropractic is, you should start, of course, at birth, and it becomes something that's going to motivate people to implement these strategies for longevity, for sure, because it's more top of mind. It becomes a habit.
I want to make a few poignant statements, and I want to propose a question to both of you. Number one thing is, don't use sloppy words. Your words matter. And whether it's self-talk to me, myself, or self-talk to you, we have to be architects of the language that we use. You talked about being in an artistic environment, being a filmmaker, creating ideas that matter. The only reason that they matter is because you put the right constructs around them. And that's being the architect of our health. And if we want to get better faster, we have to start becoming the architect of our own health and our own words, and don't use sloppy words. And one of the things that somebody taught me one time was success does not flow into clutter. So if you want to successfully heal, you can't have a body that is dysfunctional and disorganized. One time somebody once told me that the reason that they call it an organ system is because it's organized. And when a chiropractor adjusts the subluxation and restores the lightness back to the body reorganizes the organ system and starts to function with more lightness and more vitality and more fluidity. And the dysfunction of disease is starting to diminish because the reconnection of man, the physical, to man, the spiritual, which creates this thing called educated intelligence. So it's a very vital plan when we don't use sloppy words and we stay organized with our organ system, and success does not flow into clutter. Now, those were my poignant statements. Hopefully they're poignant enough for you, Laurent, because you asked that. How poignant?
They're very poignant, yes.
But a twofold question for both of you. Go back to your 19-year-old self. What would you tell yourself at 19 years old right now to make all the difference in the world? Laurent first.
That's a tough question. Of course, it is something we can all reflect on. If I knew then what I knew now, what I know now, what difference would it make?
Well, the thing is, there will be a 19-year-old listening to this show.
I would tell that 19-year-old, first of all, to get the hell to the chiropractic office, because when I was 19, I was not getting adjusted. That's number one. I was kind of foolish at the time. I was living life but I would already tell this 19-year-old to start implementing strategies that is going to make me more resilient, and better equipped to weather the storms that will be coming in the future. Because doesn't matter how safe you want to play it in your life, you're going to go through some major storms and challenges. So I would tell that 19-year-old, you will. Doesn't matter how safe you want to play. I was not playing it very safe. I was driving motorcycles and all kinds of stuff. But, make sure that you prepare your body and your mental attitude to be equipped to weather the storms that will be showing up. And when a storm shows up, it's not about the storm as much as it is how you react to that storm. That is also what I would like to tell my 19-year-old self. Take a distance between the events that happen around you. And they often happen for a reason that is actually good. There is usually something good to be found in any negative experience or perceived negative experience that we have. Usually there is something good that will allow us to grow. So be resilient, prepare your body to be more resilient, but also your mental strength. And when the storms happen in your life, take some distance and look at that storm, say, what good can come out of that? I think that would be the lesson that that's what I would want to tell myself when I was 19 years old.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say before I answer, yes to all that. But Laurent, what you're talking about reminded me of a quote by Viktor Frankl. It goes something like, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space, we get to choose how we respond. And in that choice lies our strength and freedom. Right. And I love that. Essentially, that's what we're saying is like, take that space, step back from it. Step back and allow yourself that grace in that space. And this is what I always tell people. We'd allow other people that space and grace. I mean, we would. I mean, I think we so freely do that but we don't allow it for ourselves. So I think it's important to allow ourselves grace. I would tell my 19-year-old self that, allow yourself some grace. Get to the chiropractor, eat real food. I mean, all that stuff, right? But allow yourself some grace. For me, what I needed that nobody taught me until, I don't know, 3 months ago, I'm teasing, but nervous system regulation. I mean, no one taught me anything about that. I came from a very, we don't need to psychoanalyze me, but I came from a pretty dysfunctional family that didn't really talk about regulation at all. And so, emotions were very hot in our house, and it took me many, many years in my adulthood to figure out that's not the way people are, or maybe there's a better way to be anyway. Or an easier way to be. It's maybe a better way to say that. But, learn nervous system regulation, do all the stuff Laurent said, get to the chiropractor, eat real food, drink water. And then the other thing that I would say for myself, allow yourself grace. And this is just for me again, 19 years old. Just don't drink alcohol. Like alcohol is not going to serve you the way you think it's going to serve you. You're not going to have as much fun as you think, and you're going to have a big price to pay, and it's going to age you. So don't do it. So that's what I would tell myself.
Wow. It's such an honor to run this Get Better Faster podcast with you, Dr. Jason, and to have two pros on a show with me for over an hour of time together. How valuable. And my message to everybody out there is something I learned from John DeMartini, is he said, you might want to take a pen and paper out and write some things down that you've learned over today's talk, because they're going to impact you for the rest of your life. So if anybody's made it to this point in this interview with us today, I hope that you've taken your pen and paper out and made some notes about how to have a better quality of life and how to get better faster through longevity and biohacking and mindset, and appreciating the moments of who we all are. And what an honor to have this time with you guys today. And is it okay if I answer that question too?
Please.
At 19, I would go back and tell Jim, who was one of the best soccer players in the entire state of Iowa, I'd say, you're not going to miss out. Just don't drink the alcohol. You're not going to miss out. There's a bigger life out there for you. And I think the only thing that ever stopped me from being a real true professional soccer player was my alcoholism.
Oh, sad.
So it's a learning curve now that I'm a 46-year-old man, that I can think on that level and give advice to somebody that might be listening to this, like Dr. Jason did also, to say, look, it's not really worth it. The price tag that you'll pay is a diversion from the life that you actually want. So you're not going to miss out. And I think that when I came up with this concept with Dr. Jason on top of a mountain about 6 months ago to do a podcast called Get Better Faster, I had no idea that it was going to have so much reality behind it, and that it will become one of the greatest podcasts out there that people will listen to. And they'll go back and listen to these early episodes, and they'll be like, damn, those guys hit something there. And they'll be thankful. And then that's the reason why I wanted to make sure that we were going to have really rich, valuable guests on the show that were subject matter experts. And I thank you, Laurent, for being the filmmaker. I thank you for going on the 40-year journey to get yourself as healthy as you possibly can be at the age that you are chronologically, like you said. And what a great opportunity to share your story along the topic and the subject that we got a chance to discuss with you today. So thank you so much.
I enjoyed it very much, and very much enjoyed your company, your insights. It was wonderful. I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you so much, for letting me share a few of my ideas. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on here too. And, so for sure, speaking of sharing, for those of you that are listening, thank you. And there's so much gold in here. I mean, I was just thinking back about the like 5 or 10 things that we talked about today that are like worth its weight in gold all alone. If you guys got value out of this, please be sure to share this podcast and this episode, with your friends, family, colleagues. Our goal with Get Better Faster is to help as many people get better and reclaim their sovereignty with their health, their happiness, and their life. So, Laurent, thank you so much for coming on today, man. I can't wait till we see each other again, and I don't think it'll be too long. So, love you, man, and love you, man.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. All the best to you. And yes.
2 things, because I don't want to close just quite yet, but I want to ask you if people wanted to connect with you or work with you, where should we send them to?
That's a good question. Probably my personal website. I'm in the middle of finalizing the website for the film and the brand. So right now, my personal website is a good place. Laurent Goldstein Media.com. Laurent Goldstein Media.com is the good place. People want to send me an email. It's laurentgold@gmail.com.
Great. And is there anything that we didn't ask you that you hoped we would have asked you today that you would like to share with our audience?
That's a good question. I've had ideas and things going through my mind, as we were talking. So there's so many. Why did I call the film Listen to the Lion? Your Second 50, Listen to the Lion is a title. I was listening I'm a huge Van Morrison fan. He is my, and so he has a song called Listen to the Lion. And I was playing the song, and it's funny because I'm reminded several times a week, I believe the number 1111 keep popping up, and it's kind of helps me connect with the spiritual side that I'm working on every time. And I was looking at the YouTube video that popped up. I would listen to the Lion. The time of the song is 11:11. I said, okay, that's the title of the film. Well, Listen to the Lion. For me, the lion is that part in ourselves that we kind of suppress. It wants to come out. That lion, that fire, that roar, that energy. But unfortunately, we often just forget about it, or we stuff it inside. And it's good for men and women. Even the lion may be a little bit masculine energy, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing for female. It's that energy, that drive, that desire, and the lions, they rule, they rule in nature. That's why I call it Listen to the Lion. I think it's to remind people that the lion is in them, and it's good to actually awaken your lion and listen to the lion.
When can people look forward to the film coming out?
We are planning to first week in November. We are lining up to do a premiere in Miami together with Biohackers World, the group Biohackers World, with Mitch and Olia. We are looking at either the Saturday night or the Friday night. So my goal is to have it ready for the end of October, all edited and done. So we started the editing process already, just a little bit. So we should be done. We should be good by then.
Well, Laurent, that gives me some closure on our conversation today. I appreciate you being such a pro. And Dr. Jason, do you have any closing words there?
Just about, my closing words are, I just appreciate this time, Laurent. Thank you for your time today. And like I said, I've got so many notes. I keep show notes off to the side. That's what I'm always doing. I'm looking off the side. I have so many notes to go through today. I'm excited to dig into them, So thank you for all your wisdom and everything that you shared, and your films. And, I can't wait for the film to come out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All the best, and best of luck with Get Better Faster. It's going to be big. I can feel it. Awesome.
Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Get Better Faster podcast. Join the movement and visit getbetterfasterpodcast.com to find all our episodes, micro content, and resources to help you and your family get better faster.
I am the